I'm getting old. It feels like I'm getting old. Like 27 I am. How is Louis Tomlinson? Yeah, I'm doing all right, thanks. I'm doing all right. That's a random Google one. Well, what does Google? Come to tour. Come to tour and I'll meet you then, hopefully. I eat a lot of rubbish food. Probably burgers. I eat a lot of McDonald's. But in terms of the ultimate burger, it probably has to be In-N-Out. That is a question I won't be answering. My number's got out quite a few times. I like my own privacy, so unfortunately, I'm not going to do that. Great reveal at the end there. I've got two dogs. I've got a golden doodle and I've got a labradoodle, Bruce and Cliff. They're quite different dogs, the two of them. Bruce is like proper well behaved, good lad, proper like, almost like a pretty dog, you know what I mean? Whereas Cliff, he's big, he's clumsy, he's a thief. Because, you know, everyone says dogs shouldn't go anywhere near chocolate. I think maybe 2 or 3 Easters ago, he stole a full Easter egg, which I was worried about. But I found out after, I think as long as they don't eat their body weight in chocolate, they're all right. So he lives to fight another day. Well, you can't see that, but it says, is Louis Tomlinson on tour? Not yet, glad you asked. About to go on the road next year. Tickets are on sale. Yeah, my local club, Doncaster Rovers, where I'm from, I was lucky enough one year. I mean, it was a bit of a PR thing on their end, but also a fairly decent football player. They signed me onto the books for a year. I was in the back of the programme every game day. I got a squad number, which I got tattooed on the hand, 28. It was a good time to be around. I mean, in England, we're doing all sorts at the moment, like vegan sausage rolls, which feels like a contradiction to me. I'm not a vegan, no, but respect to everyone who is. I'm right-handed, believe it or not. What more have I got to say about am I left or right-handed? That's your lot. I suppose it depends who you ask, really. I think so. I like to think so. Yeah. I love red. Often try and incorporate red into pretty much anything I do, really, creatively. And also my football club, Donny Rovers, they play that. So. You know, it's another one of those songs that's saying, you know, regardless of what happens in life, you just got to try and be hopeful. That's William. Don't use it that often. I imagine some of my fans know. That's my middle name. Bit of trivia for you. I ain't ever been in a movie like other than the One Direction movie. Started now. Probably me, Ginger Mate, Ollie, goes everywhere with me. Lives with me most of the time. Hears the songs first most of the time. Went to school with him, known him for like 10 years now, 12 years or something. I was an X Factor judge. I've also been on the show as a contestant. I was in this band called One Direction. They were pretty big. Miss You was originally written, I was bouncing between different parties and all the nightlife that LA has to offer. And there was moments where I felt like I was kind of just going along with it without really enjoying it so much, and that's kind of what that song was about. With Donny Rovers, if we're going far back, Tickle Juniors, Sunday League team, local area. It was the first team that I joined, called Tickle Juniors. I think they're still going. In fact, I got a mildly cheeky email from them pretty recently, asking for some funding. So I'll be in touch. Don't have anything more to say about it. If you haven't been, you should go. Great holidays. I absolutely love where I come from. Great people where I'm from, and a great night out. LA and London, and also try and get to Doncaster as much as I can. Quite a drastic jump, quite a different jump. It's just forever hot here in LA, you know what I mean? I was just talking about that, we're about to get into November and it's red hot, and I'm just a true Brit, you know what I mean? When it's winter, I like cold. Here, doing this little piece to camera for you, when I did the X Factor. Basically, long story short, the judges see thousands of people, you know, across however many days. So I wanted to be at the start of the auditions. I started queuing up at like 4 a.m. Because I wanted to be one of the first to be seen, because I thought I'd get a chance there. Christmas Eve, 1991. Good time to have your birthday. Everyone's in a good mood. Starts March next year. Goes all the way through to June, July. Super excited to come on tour. I feel like I've been waiting your solo career for this moment, so pretty excited about that one. You're talking about when I started with the band, on our first tour, I did a cover of Amy Winehouse, Valerie. Maybe you're asking when I might sing that again. The answer is I don't know. I performed it a few times. It came out off the top of my head, I think 2017. So my first performance for that was on the X Factor. You know, I'd never done a solo performance on my own, and the X Factor was always a big performance for us as a band. So to come back and do that on my own was both exciting and nerve-wracking. That's the last one, right? Louis Tomlinson. Louis Tomlinson, cute again. Not sure how to react to this one, other than saying thanks. Look, that I have many of, quite a few stupid ones. I'm trying to look at which one the latest one was. Probably this horrible one that I got done in the X Factor. Even straight lines, pretty bad. Well, I got blue eyes, but I'm not gonna lie, my eyes do slightly change colour. I'm wearing a blue top, they look a bit bluer. What I'm looking at today, I don't know. But normally blue. I ain't had that many of them, to be honest. I've had like 3 in rotation for the last like 9 years. What's pretty funny about my hair though is, you know, from being in a band like One Direction, I've almost forgot how to do my own hair. It's pretty tragic that, innit? You know what I mean? I'm lucky to have someone doing my hair, but then there's times where I go on a night out and I'm looking at it thinking, I'll be honest, I don't even know how to start, so I just put a cap on. That is the band I am in, was in, whichever way you look at it. Don't really know what else to say about that good time in my life. Hopefully we come back. Name of one of my songs, so I assume you bang that into Google and my song will just pop straight up. Give it a listen if you want. Did it with Bieber Rexa. I did the music video in Doncaster where I'm from, so again that was special for me. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, man, it's definitely hard, and it took me, a good year, 18 months. Anyway, if I could speak, if that's all right, love. When I spent a long time trying to find exactly what my sound was, and to be fair, when I first went out on my own, I wasn't even sure that I was definitely going to make a solo record, and kind of one thing led to another, and I kind of had to learn on the job who I am really as an artist, because I'd only really looked at myself as a lad in a band, so all of a sudden I had to look at myself as an artist, as an individual, so that took a little bit of time. If I'm being honest, I just wasn't ready for the band to go on a break, to be honest. It surprised me to a certain degree, so I didn't have any planning for this or anything like that. I think I just thought that I was going to carry on writing for other people and not necessarily for myself, and then, like I'm sure a lot of people in this situation, I did a bit of writing, I liked some of the songs I was writing, I thought, yeah, I might as well have a crack with this. Who's got the phone? I think it's quite evident, even in my performance or even in situations like this, that I just feel a lot more comfortable with what I'm doing now. I think because what I knew with One Direction was, chasing radio and getting as big a moment as possible. It's kind of all I really knew, so that was my expectations, albeit unrealistic. I didn't know that, so I kind of had to work it out and kind of making something that was safe and that I thought was going to fit into radio, and especially with that Steve song. I love and respect Steve, and I love that song. It's a special song to me, but sonically, I can't relate to those sounds, So in the end, I just thought if I'm going to do this, and it takes up a lot of my time, obviously, I need to do something I really love. So I feel good about that. I've learned a lot on the job, really, and that was one of those situations where I do think I had to go through that stage of writing, working with like specific producers that maybe weren't right for me now, but at the time I had to learn. I've always been pretty good at standing up for myself and getting my own way to a certain degree. I think what I've learned mostly about being out on my own, which is kind of an extension of what you just said, is I've learned to trust my gut more. And I've said in a few interviews that there's a lot of opinion around it, a lot of people have to say about what they think. And I just got to stand strong and say, no, this is who I am. I've seen them live 2 or 3 times now, every time at a festival. But I think first festival I ever went to, which was Leeds Festival in England. Yeah, Vampire Weekend were playing there, I think. So amazing band, and that song Cousins. I always loved that from being young. I used to play it near us, so that's great. And also just in general for the play this, it's been really fun for me to kind of show the fans exactly what I like listening to. And there's other people who've come up to me and said, I've never heard of this song before, or this artist before, and it's on your playlist and it's cool or whatever. And yeah, it's probably cool for me. I've always been amazed by Amy Winehouse, incredible writer, and I often talk about a level of detail in the lyrics, because I'm a lyricist, I like the lyrics, and the level of detail that she goes into. I heard in a documentary that when something happens poignant in her life, she notes down all the detail around her, what she can see, what she can smell, what she's wearing, all these things, so you'll know that if you come to write about it. And I just think that level of detail is what makes it so genius. I'm not sure about unique to me. I'm always trying to be as conversational as possible. Someone like Alex Turner, I love his lyrics because, I like his lyrics because it's kind of conversational and almost sounds that you don't really hear on the radios, where people want every single syllable to sound right. Well, I think we've got more of a tribute than a cover, to be honest. We only ever covered Green Day song. The set list existed of about 5 songs. We did it in rotation, you know what I mean, mixing between them. But that's actually where definitely where I got the hook to perform. Well, yeah, I mean a little bit now as well, but when I was younger, I do like to shut off a bit, make people laugh. It's actually the song that closes the album. Only song on the album that I didn't write, so it gives a slightly different sound, a slightly different dynamic to it all, and I think lose all the way. On the first listen, I mean, you know, every now and then, more at the start, less now because I think they've learned from it. But I'd often get sent through management or label or different songs, and normally I like to be in the room. You know what I mean? I obviously like to have me right. Honestly, any more laughing? It was more musically than anything. The song really stood out to me, and I thought it almost works as a nice little novelty. I've written the rest, and this one is, you know, kind of slightly different style. I wish I could give you a more interesting answer than this. To be honest, I only really knew once I heard it. I didn't realise it because it's quite slow actually. I wrote this song about 2.5 years ago, maybe even longer now. Who's not been listening to any interviews today? I've said this about 20 times already. Yeah, I wrote it about 2.5 years ago. I did it with Julian and John, who I'd done a lot of the One Direction stuff with. And I think I just wanted to be further on in the writing process, so I could go boom, 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 just release music more frequently. I knew that was a good song. I wanted to get further on in the writing before I got to this phase. Yeah, I have been asked this today, and I've not had a good answer at all. And yeah, do you know what? I wish I had something more imaginative. And some people probably bullshit in this situation. You know, every single tour we did with Cram was incredible, and that goes without saying. But being in small rooms, you know, when we were first in the band for the first 6 months, we did this little radio tour across Scotland. We played really tiny gigs, the smallest gigs we ever played, and we will all say they're some of our favourite shows. There's something really special about playing small venues. So yeah, I'm really excited. You know, the experience that we went through was, you know, unique. The only people who can relate to that is, you know, each of us. So I think we always have that love and respect for each other. And in the same way, you know, we used to wind each other up in the band, and used to get on each other's nerves. I don't know. I think going into the band feels slightly different now. But going into the band, I was the oldest. Even if the boys thought it or not, I always felt a little bit of responsibility, you know what I mean, on that level. And I think in those situations, I've always been pretty approachable for Liam or any of the boys, to be honest, you know, if they need to chat or whatever. So I'm honoured that you said that, though. It's proper nice. Normally, we're just like, in the last couple of months, we won't speak to each other that often, but, you know, I'll ring him and we'll speak on phone for like a good 3 hours and cover everything to intertwine, obviously. And, you know, you're talking about some of the stuff in your work life, and you'll say the same kind of thing, and, you know, I think it's important, because at the end of the day, it's a crazy job what we do. I think, most of them have got a pretty rubbish storyline, and there's not many good. I think it's always important creatively to, you know, not work too much, because, you know, there's a limit to how much you can do, definitely. I think just be confident in what you do. I think sometimes, like writer's block, it can, you know, if you have one day writing that's not very good, and then you go in the next day and the next day is not very good, it can kind of snowball a little bit. I think it depends on the situation. It depends how long you've been working on writing. I did have a moment on this record where I did need to take a break from writing, because I felt like I was writing every single day. It was, you know, a new concept every day, new lyrics every day. There's a lot to think about. I felt like quality. So I can't think of anything specific. There's some lyrics in Champagne Supernova, Oasis. Oh, I'm allowed to say an Oasis song. That I think are really thought-provoking, really interesting. Sounds like how you relate to it, I'm not sure. But in general, it was more of a sound thing than a lyric thing. I spoke before, there was a second where I kind of fell out with the music a little bit. I wasn't hearing a lot of stuff that I really loved. And then I found a really amazing playlist and started playing some of the older stuff that I used to like listening to. And Sam Fender is in the way he sounds musical. It made it was like really impressive. I'm like, this is how it's meant to be. So yeah, that probably inspired. To a certain degree, for like different reasons, Kill My Mind was that song, because I had to be brave and be like, this is what I want to do. But to a certain degree, you know, from writing, especially the kind of stuff that, you know, we wrote in the band, that was kind of a bold step for me to say, this is who I want to be, really. So I'd say it was that song. I mentioned it today, and I like about We Made It. I like that lyric that says, I don't know why they put me on the songs when we're so young, we've done a pretty good job. I think it's quite thought-provoking, and I think fans hearing that, it's kind of nice to hear that, so...
Doing it on the side, yeah, since you said, yeah. It's been a big hit for me, actually. Yeah. I also, what bugs me a little bit about tattoos, and I got to tread carefully because you've got something about. The only thing that gets on my nerves about tattoos, I get having meaning to them, but some people come out with the most far-fetched description for tattoos, right? They'll have like a bird, right, like this. I say, why have you got that bird? And before you know it, you're talking about freedom, and you're talking, you know what I mean? And you're like, but really, you've just got it because it looks cool, you know? I think some people definitely obviously get really meaningful ones, that's nice, but you also get those people try and find a meaning in a cool looking tattoo, you know? Well, I've had some little ones, like I've got this one on my hand, I actually, funnily enough, got one as a dare on my arse. I remember exactly how it went down now, but yeah, I ended up with a penguin tattooed on my arse, which, you know what I mean, is the least sexy thing in the world, I mean, what I'm saying. To be honest, I have waited for a while, other than the little ones, and that silly one that I mentioned. I haven't really had any for a while, so I'm not necessarily itching. I could just always, like literally, I could always go to the tattoo shop. Right, just quickly, I'll remember this, but just side note, I'm being serious. Next time I'm having an interview, I want to get a tattoo together. 5-10 minutes, but yeah. I don't know, honestly, I don't know what this... So the album. Yeah, so it became apparent to me when because I've got maybe 75% of the album done, right? By the way, this figure, each interview, I've just been changed. 72% done. But it became apparent to me that it was kind of telling a story naturally anyway, just from the stuff that I'd been writing. And in general, the stuff is very, very personal, very honest. Maybe more honest than people are normally willing to go in, like, pop. I just think there's a lot of songs that describe this Hollywood amazing relationship, and for good or for worse, it always sounds a little Hollywood and a little kind of film scripty and kind of not really. Do you understand what I'm saying? Growing up and listening to bands like Oasis and Arctic Monkeys, they say it so matter of fact, and that, you know, to me that's really exciting. So hopefully, although they do know a lot about me, hopefully the fans will learn something more from kind of getting to know. It's probably the last 2 or 3 years of my life, yeah. And I mean, I've got maybe another 2 songs to fit in, but I have to make them fit chronologically, you know what I mean? So I have to have a moment in those 3 years that I want. Oh, I mean, any of my fans will know, I spent, 18 months, 2 years of my life just kind of real different to how I'd been in the past, and just went out all the time, partying, drinking all the time, whatever. And then I kind of realised that I was a bit of an idiot during those times, and I found my way back to that's just one of the stories. And just in general, I think a lot of guys go through this, you almost feel, like you've got to go through that stage in your life, but that was never me. So it's kind of just telling that story, really, because some songs will make you feel like I was in the moment and like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this, we're in the club, this is great, but you'll be able to feel there's an underlying kind of situation, have an understanding of it. But the songs are written in present tense, so it's as if it was then. So like, at the start of the album, it starts, and there's one song that's kind of up-tempo, and it's about going out one night after the other, and being able to go, do you know what, I'm going to go out again today. And then, as a contrast, right at the end of the album, there's a really honest, sad track, kind of reflecting about the whole time and how wrong it was. So, hopefully, it's not going to be too deep. It's not going to be something from it. Hopefully, from the fans' perspective, I just want them to be able to understand more of who I am as an artist as well. Yeah, but if I'm being honest, this is me being pedantic, I didn't write this song from personal reference, right? Because this song is talking about a relationship of 2 people that maybe shouldn't be together. Back to you. It's talking about maybe it's not the most practical thing and they don't know why, but they keep finding their way back. That's absolutely not me. However, to work on the chronological thing, it kind of does work on the album, but that song in particular is probably the least personal across the album. I wrote that, it was an opportunity for me to instead of being so heavily involved, like emotionally with it, it was nice to have a song that I could write from reference to the point of like, we've all got friends like that and those kind of relationships, you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of cool to be able to write from their perspective, because the rest of the album is all kind of lonely. There's a couple of songs that, maybe we could give to another artist. There's one song that I'm kind of waiting on at the moment that I'm really excited about. It looks like it's going to get taken by someone else. That's really exciting for me. You know, I really want to kind of prove myself really as a songwriter. So those kind of things are, really important to me. So fingers crossed to get that song. I can't really say who it is. As an obvious note, Digital Farm Animals did an amazing, cool job on the production. I think anyone who listens to the track kind of stands out. It's so minimal and cool. And BB just absolutely smashed it on her vocals too. It's just one guy, although it's complicated because I think the manager was also a DJ as well. Anyway, that's irrelevant. This guy Nick, who's really cool, maybe 3-4 years older than me, but this is one thing I think is difficult with the music sometimes. He's so good at being minimal. Often people overcomplicate things and think about the science so hard, but he's very minimal in the way he works, and for me that's right on the street, so it's good. Especially being like a northern British guy. When another guy's looking at you, maybe he's recognised me, sometimes comes across a little bullshit, you know what I mean? You're thinking, what are you looking at? And then you might recognise me. There's definitely certain places, and by the way, it's always random. I could never go to the same place and say I never get recognised here, you know what I mean? So it kind of just happens on different days. I think it's harder to be incognito when, like, say I'm doing a radio tour in like New York, and then all the every detail's online. It's all exciting. I mean, exciting it's a difficult. It's just an impossible thing to be able to comprehend anyway. The fact that my hotel might be on Twitter and people might know where it is. Even something like that is a very hard thing to ever kind of comprehend or ever really understand, because it's about you as an individual. It's kind of crazy, but hey, they're amazing. So they quite recently, I mean, it used to be rare that someone would come up to me and say, look, I want a tattoo of a lyric or of whatever, and then, something kind of related to me or One Direction. But like quite recently, I'm just in kind of surge of it recently, like the last 3-4 months, a lot of people come up to me and often, there's kind of a lot of people to meet, so it's kind of quick fire. So before I know it, there's like this girl right in my face, and she's like, hey, write me a tattoo. And I'm like, okay, what? And she's like, I don't know. And then and I'm like, but to be fair though, this is a lot of pressure for me. You're gonna have this on your body for the rest of your life, and you're just saying to me, write anything. You know what I mean? It's a difficult thing. So I normally just do my little signature X's smiley face, but I could write anything. I could quickly Google what a swear word is in Chinese and write that, and she might have it done. Next time I am going to call the bluff. I mean, it's probably a little cruel, but I'm going to do it. I've kind of got 2 dates in mind. There's a date, if I wanted it at the end of the year, I'm going to have to rush a little bit, and I don't really want to do that. And who knows, I might be in a position where after I finish this promo going to writing that I feel like I'm in a good enough place to. But I want to be 1,000% sure before I do that. So either at the end of this year or the start of next year. A little bit, yeah. I think it's still going to take time, It's just, I think what helped me definitely is, having Steve there at the start and having BB here now for the performance. I mean, don't get me wrong, before Jimmy Fallon, like a week ago, I was really nervous. I actually, I started off the song, sat on the drum kit. Now, I warned our drummer that I might leave behind a little poo. Luckily I didn't, luckily I escaped that. But I was so nervous, but actually, for one of the first times being on my own, I did get a really good feeling after, a real kind of sense of accomplishment, so I do feel more confident going into teen shows. And let's just be honest about this stuff, you know what I mean? I think a lot of artists will say, oh yeah, I'm super confident, and strip it back, I'm not sure if they are, It's always just better to tell you what it is. I mean, I've always felt like to a certain degree I've got a point to prove a little bit, right? So in those moments, it was like, like say, for example, there was a song in One Direction called No Control that I sang the chorus on. I was always really excited about it. The fan reaction was great. But on that song, I was so nervous right up until my part. So now, it kind of just, a little bit, kind of just feels like that on stage across the whole thing. So I got to get used to feeling really comfortable and, you know, owning the performance, which is something that is going to take time for me. Because also, it's easy for, like, let's say a rock star or a rapper, because they think they are the #1 coolest, sickest, best looking guy in the world, and they believe it. Of course, it's easy to carry that on stage, whereas if you don't think you're the coolest individual in the world, you kind of got to, you know what I mean? You got to work on the craft and work on what looks right and feels. I think it's important, yeah, definitely. I mean, we're all just real people. Some of us get lost along the way, but I haven't. Because that's why actually I wouldn't call it stage fright. It is all anticipation. You know, there is some times where I'm just thinking of a million different scenarios, but actually, then from the minute I go on stage, it's like, it's kind of a stupid analogy, but you know, you can be driving on a motorway and you've been going 5 minutes and you're just on autopilot and you're just driving. Obviously you concentrate, but you're just on autopilot. And sometimes that happens when I'm on stage. You know, I go into it and think, right, I need to sing this part like this, phrase this like this, make sure I sing this part with my chest voice strong, blah, blah, blah. It just all goes out the window. You're literally you're not really there. You're just in the moment, you know, it's pretty crazy. So then afterwards, I'm kind of like kicking myself, like, that was kind of stupid for me to get so worked up about. Okay, exactly. And you know, there might be a certain point, like maybe in the middle 8, that I'd rehearsed over and over and over again with my vocal coach. To a certain degree, it just doesn't matter. I mean, maybe it's just me, but when I get up on stage, just everything like that, I just go into autopilot. So that's why my preparation up until then has got to be a good point, because you're just in the moment and taking it in and enjoying it and seeing, you know, the fans' faces and stuff like that. That's also why it's more anticipation for me, because, you know, we're lucky enough to have a really supportive fan base. So when even just the initial connection that I get off someone, it makes you feel super, super cool. Super small, take like 5-10 minutes, so it's not too eggy on radio. Thank you.